Hey there, if this is our first time meeting, I'm Kenny here with Jeremy, and here we try to ask good questions and try to make them, or at least try to answer them better. And now you're listening to Small Talks Radio. So, is it okay to teach our kids anything?
All right, let me explain that extremely clickbaity question. Uh, of course, you have to teach your kids things, but the question is, which things do you actually teach them? There's let's take a quick movement real quick. There's a movement called free range parenting, and this can definitely be construed in the wrong way. I want to make sure that I'm representing these people well. Look them up, find them on Google. There's proper ways to understand this. The basic idea is you let kids learn about the world through the consequences of their actions, and I'm on board with that. I have no problems with that. The problem comes in not when you're letting children explore the world, learn about it the way that anybody normally would, without being overprotective, and well, not being involved in their lives at all. What things should you teach them? At some point, I don't know. We've got a pretty cool example coming up here about when it comes to like religion, when it comes to values and things like that. What things should you teach your kids? And if you don't teach them, what are they missing out on? I think the underlying maybe strain or the nervousness is that you're like brainwashing them, like you're putting ideas in their heads before they can be critical about it. And as far as I can tell, you can't actually get away from that. There's no getting around it. When you teach your kids something, it's something that they need to know, or even if it's something that they don't need to know. Until a certain age, they're really just going to accept it, and that's your responsibility as a parent. There's no getting away from that. But some people would say, well, maybe there's certain things like, do we help them pick a religion? Do we help like what social things should we start to pump the brakes on and let them discover for themselves?
Huh. So, free range parenting, huh? To me, I don't know. This is kind of weird. I don't know. For a second, I was thinking of chickens and like free range eggs. How you
Right.
just let
Yeah.
them go around. I
Not the
mean,
term
I
I
think
would
it's
use.
related somehow, but
Mhm.
I think that term or the phrase is very, it's not, it's oxymoron type of thing.
Oh,
Like,
free range
yeah,
and
you're right,
parenting.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because parenting itself implies that you're, in charge of doing something for a specific outcome for your offsprings. And by the fact that, or at least the concept of raising your children without really raising them is very contradictory. And I think that deprives, or I guess it seems like they are, what do you, I don't know, they are letting go of their responsibilities. And yeah, so I think that itself, to me, I've, up front sounds very irresponsible. And I'm not saying you should not encourage, I mean, you should, I kind of understand it from the point of, oh, the kids are different from us. We don't want to indoctrinate them with anything. But like, if you don't have, you can't say yes or no to nothing, right? So
Right.
you need, I think as a parent, you should expose them to a lot of different things versus, letting them do whatever they want. Because for children, I don't think they know any, like they don't know if they want anything. They just gravitate towards what they like. Because out of the options that they have experience in their lives, which is relatively short, and they don't have all the options that are meaningful to them or good for them. So I just think that I, I might be wrong because this is the first time hearing the term free range parenting, but it sounds like
It's a little
it's
sketchy.
yeah. It sounds like people that they have commitment issues, or like they're very weak willed, and they're like, oh, I don't want to hurt the kids by telling them something, and they don't like it, or they might turn out wrong, and like it's overprotective parents that I don't think make good parents. Um,
Yeah. So let me see if I can give like an intuitive feel for the good side of this.
mhm.
Because there's some things that I think we'd largely agree with. And it's think back, I don't know, I would guess more than 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when it would be more common to your kids would entertain themselves by going out of the house and doing whatever it is that they do, and then they come back, 6 hours later, whatever, um, and they're pretty much fine. I maybe child mortality rate was higher in the past, and it certainly was. But for the most part, when you talk to your like grandparents, or you talk to really anyone from an older generation, like parenting was much less hands-on. And incidentally, those people seem to have a much firmer moral compass than we do now, firmer grasp of a lot of things than we do. And so the glory of this is just letting kids grow up without sheltering them from everything else. There's obviously the extreme of it, because in a sense this is reactionary against another extreme, the extreme of like helicopter parenting, where you monitor absolutely everything. The extreme here would just be not doing anything, and that's a thing that's annoying to me, because if you don't teach them anything, they're just not going to know anything. You can't learn like truths of the universe just by experimenting as a child. You'll get some things, but they need to be able to come back and like talk about their findings. They need to be able to come back and, well, they need to be stopped from doing some things that'll hurt them in the first place. And I think that in general, free range parenting is supposed to be that kind of balanced approach.
Yeah, I definitely see the argument for it, and it does make sense to, but it's, I don't know, it's not. It seems like it's something that is not practical, and it's not very well thought out. Like the argument for it is like what you said. I mean, it can be convincing to some, but what are the opportunity costs? Like the consequence of those type of actions that, so if your kids start taking drugs or doing dangerous things,
Right.
just because they can't, like, you're not going to do anything because
Mhm.
it's okay, like it's a good idea to give them options and choices and let them decide for themselves what is right, but for you to, it's it's kind of, there's something called an adulterated freedom, or I guess free unadulterated freedom or free will. It's a concept in
Something like
Christianity.
that. You get the idea.
Yeah, so it's like God lets you do whatever you want, but can you actually do anything? Right? Some
Right.
are morally reprehensible, right? So
Yeah, and that's probably why this could use a better name. Like, well, one thing is it's not hands-off parenting. It's not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to like kind of like forget about your kid. Just watch them and make sure they don't kill themselves, because I think we're running into trouble eventually anyway. I think people who adopt this in its purest form are really apt to be like involved in their kids' lives, but with not to the extent that they're monitoring, or monitoring is not even the word. You can watch the whole thing and still be free range. A free range parent isn't going to go through and like wait for their kids to burn their hands on the stove. You still tell them things
uh,
about the world.
I actually doubt that, because this seems like a movement that's out of like the fear of helicopter parenting, like you talked about. So
Mhm.
this is the opposite extreme, where they don't want to do anything. Like they don't want to be held responsible for their children's like future
I don't want to
disappointment
be
type of thing. It's
responsible.
like I hate you, mom, like for like not letting me do
Yeah.
something. Like it's that resentment, and it's like a phobia that I guess kind of drives, like it's like a fear of the other side that it makes people gravitated towards this movement, I think.
Right. So that's what I mean. Between the two extremes, this is again, it's in its purest forms. If I was going to represent somebody who actually understood the philosophy behind this and was trying to present it in a way that's fair and that's actually practical, because there's a lot of practicality in this. We
Well, no, no,
do.
no, I know. Like the way you explained it was actually well presented. I didn't see it as something like you didn't say it in order to antagonize them, but like from the words that you said, I can already.
You can see it
It
spiraling out of control.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like one of the like an ideologue. When you talk to an ideologue, um, that has like that are ideologues. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you talk to. All ideologues, you know what they're gonna say on certain topics.
Mhm.
So kind of this, I guess, people that
Rings of
do
that.
this, what's yeah, like for
You can hear
example,
the pretentious, Starbucks sipping mom that's like, "Oh, I'm a free range parent. I don't interfere with my child's education or whatever."
yeah,
And
like
actually,
they either drive uh like a Dodge Caravan or like a BMW, like a
I think
BMW
there are a lot of
SUV.
people that
It's
drive
one of
Dodge
those two.
Caravans,
Yeah,
maybe.
like you can tell already of the
Mhm.
decision that they'll make. They're not a person. They're identity culture type of thing, right? So
Yeah, and this definitely slips into that. It's got a trendy name. I don't think this is super popular, but I do think that people have also called out for something that's less, I don't know, rigorous, like an approach to parenting that really lets kids play in the backyard without having to like, I don't know, place excessive restriction. Like, especially previous generations will go back. Like, I remember when we used to just bike across town and then we'd get a Coke and then we'd come back. That's not really something that we do or allow these days.
right, but that's also not free range parenting. That's out of
That's what's
necessity,
meant by
right?
it.
No,
That's
no,
what
that's what you that those are your examples trying to defend this movement. But like
I'm not
that's
trying to defend it. Go look it up. I mean, this
okay, okay.
look at the people who are talking about it in much more clear terms rather than like,
I'm not saying you're a
experiment.
proponent, but you brought it up, so it seems like you are more knowledgeable than I am, and you're saying that it might not be as bad.
I think that you're going to have a very clear idea that some people know how to implement, and that someone with a pretty firm grasp of how parenting works was trying to get this out there. And then for the most part, like every other parenting trend, it's going to be taken to the extreme. It's going to be used to tear kids' lives apart. And yeah,
Remember, like the safest way to put people in a bubble, that so that they're not exposed to any bacteria and stuff, and the first time they get hit with something sick, they'll probably die, right? So that's how it works, right?
yeah.
Like for germs and stuff, like people
Mhm.
like um when you're exposed to more different things, you grow, you get stronger with
Mhm.
every little downfalls and experiences and stuff. So but if you're isolated from all that out of fear, then when something bad happens, mm, I think that's how that's a general a rule of nature
Yeah. You got to
type of
train
thing.
your immune system. You got to train your structure for understanding reality. And the only way you get to do that is through raw experience.
Yep.
Can't pull that from a textbook. And with that said, that's all the time we have for tonight. So until next time, take it easy, y'all. We'll see you
Take
later.
care. Yep. Take care, folks.